I've already heard that ET souls, so to speak, leave their bodies of their own free will, incarnate here on Earth, and then when they, so to speak, die here as humans, they become conscious again in their bodies on the ship.
Here I'd like to mention what is actually going on so that half knowledge can become truth here. What you're describing is, you can see the real Starseed program, and it was initiated by the Federation. Here medpods were connected with virtual reality technology, and ET lies down in this pod and falls into, or is artificially put into, a kind of coma. The body is then kept alive normally for the next 4, 5, or 6 years. Muscle functions are stimulated, and enzymes as well as oxygen are delivered through liquid into the body. The consciousness is then transferred via an AI link into a biosuit. This means an empty shell, the so-called shell body, biosuit, whatever you want to call it. In other words, a vacant human shell is transferred into. And this can happen at any time. That means it can happen from childhood on. At the moment when the child begins to grow, a starseed can transfer in and wants to experience what it is like on the... So, to be in a womb and then be born on Earth. But it can also happen as an adult, for example, that someone transfers into a 30-year-old biosuit. However, this is a decision and a preset within this immersion vessel, within the immersion pod. At the moment when an etid transfers in, they live a life on Earth. And if we look at it linearly, it means he is transferred into this body from childhood. Up until death at 80 or 85 years old, the ET would complete these 5 years in the pod. Then when the body dies, the ET wakes up in the pod opens, and this liquid is pumped out. And so to speak, he would have the entire spectrum of experiences he lived through during those 80 years on Earth available within himself. That's probably what you mean. That means the ETs don't die, but rather they go into the emission capsules, and that's standard practice. And that's the gateway for ETs to come to Earth for those who are Lyran beings, that is, those who look very human. But it's especially popular among those who would stand out if they were to encounter us humans. And there are very, very many starseeds from an incredible number of species, including hybrid beings and mixed beings from the cosmos, who use these biosuits here on Earth to have the experience. You probably meant that.
Exactly, yes, probably. But are the roles of starseed individuals and hybrid beings similar or essentially the same?
The tasks are individual based on what each person has set out to do. My task from the very beginning was to build a bridge and then bring people into connection, to work with ETs as an ambassador, and also to help ETs understand humans. That's also why I like to choose conflict. With the headquarters of the Federation, that means I also do my work here while I go into conflict with them or when I enter into discussions. So I build the bridge, and again, that has to do with transition and transformation. So you notice here the connection, creating transit and points of connection, also between the consciousness of the people I work with and their higher levels of consciousness. So I build bridges. That is what is anchored in my soul, in the depths of my soul. That's, so to speak, my heartbeat, that's my heart's tone. And just as there are different ETs and different other souls, they have different tasks. There are also some, for example, who incarnate to cause trouble, to bring about problems so that they can be seen. So the missions are very diverse, and sometimes there isn't even a mission, but simply I want to eat human food, and I want to have a relationship and know what it's like to have a child or to work if I don't know that yet. So it can be quite simple, especially when you consider how exotic Earth is. For the rest of the galaxies.
Maybe another very practical question. So you're saying there are ships from the Galactic Federation here in orbit, right? And
do they allow those who work under the Federation, or are supervised or tolerated by them?
can you say something about that? How many are there? How might they be structured? What can you tell us about that?
Well, I'm actually not allowed to say too much about this because this is one of those topics where I get called in for a conversation again. What am I allowed to say? What am I not allowed to say? So what I am allowed to say is just take a look at Aldi on a Saturday afternoon, the parking lot. That's roughly how things are on Earth. That means there are an incredible number, many ships from different Species are located in low Earth orbit and in higher Earth orbit observing. But none of them are really allowed to interfere. The ships that monitor their starseeds have priority. That means those who are connected to Earth anyway through the starseed bonding bridge. And then, of course, those who are here as step-downs. Different species, but all peaceful. All peaceful. Federation. It can be restrictive at times. Sometimes their perspectives are not entirely comprehensible, not even for me. Sometimes it's very intertwined, where I ask myself, where does the Federation's influence on this Earth end? And where does not interfering end and interfering begin? But they definitely do not pursue a negative agenda. On the contrary, they are more interested in us stopping to see negative agents in everything, especially as a challenge for ourselves, to manifest, because the negativity on this planet is and remains a creation of humans here on this planet. And that's what they are controlling. We
had another question, which was, what now? What are the immediate short-term objectives, i.e., and the long-term goals currently pursued from their side?
So very simply, on the one hand, it's about observing and learning, because they are a little bit smarter than some souls here on this earth. They have learned that by observing suffering, they can indeed grow without having to manifest the suffering themselves. That means observing and thereby achieving spiritual growth. That is one factor, even if only a small one, and yet absolutely significant for some species. So here the question is, who sees what? The other story is, and it's a very, very big one, is that the Earth is being observed to see whether it becomes a threat for the galaxy, and it is being supervised to ensure that it does not become a threat for the galaxy. Because on this planet there are weapon systems that far exceed what the average person knows, and weapon systems that pose a threat to other planets from Earth. And what the Federation does is ensure that no ship leaves Earth unsupervised or without permission. That means they make sure that no one leaves here and becomes a threat to the rest of the galaxy. The Federation's highest priority is to maintain peace in the galaxy. That was the reason why it was founded. That means this is one of the main factors. Earth is not only a danger to humans themselves and to the planet, but also to the entire galaxy. And that's the main point. They are here to make sure nothing happens. Then they try to make sure that we don't blow ourselves up. That means they also supervise these nuclear programs and ensure that a nuclear war simply will not take place here on Earth. That's the next point. That means they are also trying in a certain way to protect us from ourselves, to protect us from our own creations, which sometimes really get out of control here and there. The next point is that they do see it as necessary for the Earth to be liberated and for the Earth to be saved, or rather that humanity must be liberated and saved. And the next agenda is that they send people down, like me, or themselves, or others, starseeds who are here working as teachers, to make people aware that they are creating all of this, that they are creating the darkness, that they are creating the cabal, and that they are forcing the negative reptilians to be negative. And all I can say here is it's all part of the focus and part of what I want to experience in my reality. Because the inner reality comes first, and then the outer reality is created. And when you look at the world, you can actually see what is in people's consciousness. And you can see that too. And on one hand, they see it as a threat, but on the other hand, like children who need to be protected and saved from themselves. That means even here, this agenda is also at play here, and these are the three main factors for their presence. Protection of the galaxy and of the planet from humans, but at the same time, the spiritual training and development of humans so that they can free themselves and sooner or later be free from this whole story. And of course, growth, their own growth.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me how many minutes or hours we've been going?
We've already been at it for 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Okay, so I honestly really still have quite a lot of questions that I need to ask. Both about world history, human history, and my personal experiences. I don't know, maybe we could do it like this. If perhaps the viewers also have questions, they could write them in the comments. Or if they want, maybe we could do a second part in the future. And then we could answer more questions, both from me and maybe from people in the comments. But what I still wanted to ask you is, how can people reach you? Where can people see you? Where can people follow you? How can people contact you? Could you say something about that again?
In any case, I can recommend that you follow my channel on YouTube. Here I share a lot of what I can and am allowed to share with you. A few channel links for DNA activation and consciousness activation, basically an energy transmission, so you can get a bit of insight into my work and the different facets of what I do. You'll find metaphysics, reality creation, and also extraterrestrial information here. At the moment, I'm sharing a little bit less since I'm in the process of emigrating, going through the process. But there will be more and regular content again, so at least once or twice a week, you'll be getting content from me. That means YouTube channel lialohmann.com. And also feel free to visit the website of the same name, www.oceanlicht.com. You can find me here, or simply via the email address linked to the YouTube channel lialohmann.com for any inquiries. Please forgive me if I can't respond to long, complex emails, as I am simply working a lot. When I'm not working with people or giving courses, I'm working on projects, I'm on the other side and working in the astral worlds to support and assist the transformation of the Earth. And I can't always respond to all personal questions. Nevertheless, I would be happy if you could write a few important, really important questions in the comments, especially on Johannes' channel as well, or on my own channel, so that we can get a sense of what's important and where the trend is heading. And I would truly love, from the bottom of my heart, to answer even more of your questions, because I have so much knowledge that I want to share with you so that you can grow. So with that, Johannes, I'm looking forward to seeing you again and to being able to address the community's questions as well as your personal questions.
Very nice. I would be happy about that too. Okay, then let's start collecting questions. If only a few come in, I have plenty myself.
Yes, I assume that we'll definitely find plenty of topics to talk about. The whole subject is so exciting and interesting. I'm sure we'll see each other at least once or twice more in the near future.
Then I want to thank you at this point. I'm looking forward to seeing and talking with you again. I wish you all the best until then.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you and to get to know your community. And I'm looking forward to meeting each and every one of you. From my side, take care. A big thank you to the viewers, and also a big thank you to you, Johannes. It was truly a wonderful opportunity to have spoken with you. Thank you so very much.
Thanks go to you as well. See you soon then.